Hey ChatGPT, I love honey, but I am sure you won't because you're not human and you don't eat anything. Anyways, please shed some light on the topic of who produces bees, male or female, what the Quran has to say about it, and what's the reference.
Quran, Surah An-Nahl chapter 16 verse 68-69. And your Lord inspired the bee, saying, Choose habitations in the hills and in the trees and in that which they thatch. Then eat of all fruits, and follow the ways of your Lord made smooth for you. There comes forth from their bellies a drink of varying colors, wherein is healing for mankind. Verily, in this is a sign for those who reflect. Cleophy, in honeybee colonies, it is the female bees, worker bees, that produce honey. The Quran specifically mentions this in Surah An-Nahl, chapter 16, verses 68-69, where it states that Allah inspired the female bees to build their hives and collect nectar, which is then transformed into honey. This highlights the exclusive role of female bees in honey production. The Quran does not explicitly mention female bees in the verses about honey production. However, the context implies that it is the worker bees, which are female, that are responsible for gathering nectar and producing honey. Implicit understanding. Surah An-Nahl 16:68-69 discusses the bees' behaviors and activities, which are associated with worker bees. In bee colonies, it is well known that only female bees, workers, collect nectar and produce honey, while male bees, drones, do not participate in this process. This understanding comes from both the scientific knowledge of bee biology and the implications of the Quranic verses.
Thank you so much, ChatGPT. Let's dive deeper into this chapter together with Jack and Wilson. Hey everyone, before we dive into that, I was delving into my YouTube channel analytics and noticed most of you who watch my videos are not subscribed to the channel. Would you do me a huge favor, please, and hit the subscribe button? It really motivates me and helps the channel to grow so I can do more videos just like the one you're about to watch. So without further ado, let's dive in.
Welcome back, everyone. Today, we're going to be taking a deep dive into something really cool that one of you sent to us.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, some excerpts about bees
Okay.
and honey and the Quran.
Wow, that's...
Interesting.
It's not something you hear about every day.
No, not really.
And I have to admit, when I first saw this, I was so intrigued.
Yeah, I can
Because
so
those people know honey is like delicious and good for you. But I had no idea that the Quran actually goes into detail about how it's made.
Yeah, and what's really remarkable is that these descriptions were revealed centuries ago.
Right.
But they actually seem to align with what we understand about honey production from like modern science.
Okay, now I'm really hooked.
Yeah.
So where do we even begin to unpack all of this?
Well, first, it's important to understand the context.
Okay.
The Quran is the central religious text of Islam, believed by Muslims to be a revelation from God.
And it was revealed to the Prophet Muhammad in 7th century Arabia, right?
That's right.
Okay.
And you know, it's fascinating. What?
The Quran covers like a vast range of topics. It's not just, it gives guidance on spiritual and ethical matters, but it also has historical accounts.
Okay.
And surprisingly, observations about the natural world.
So it's not just a book of religious teachings then. It's also kind of like a source of knowledge about the world around us.
Exactly.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. And when it comes to bees and honey, there's a whole chapter dedicated to them.
Really?
It's called Surah An-Nahl, which translates to the bee.
The bee. Okay.
Specifically, verses 68 and 69 offer some really intriguing insights
into honey.
Into honey production, yeah.
Yeah, awesome. All right, let's zoom in on those verses.
Okay.
What do they actually say?
Well, they start by describing how God inspires bees to build their hives in all sorts of locations, like mountains, trees, even man-made structures.
Wow, so anywhere they can, pretty much.
Yeah, and then it highlights how bees, they diligently gather nectar from flowers.
That's such a pretty image. You know, like bees buzzing from flower to flower.
Yeah.
Collecting their sweet nectar.
It is.
It's almost poetic in a way.
It is. And the Quran actually goes beyond just like describing the collection. It emphasizes the transformation that takes place within the bees themselves.
Yeah.
So it says that this collected nectar is converted into honey inside the bees.
Oh, wow.
So it's highlighting a blend of natural instinct and, from an Islamic perspective, divine guidance.
Wait, so the Quran is saying that honey isn't just nectar that bees store away.
Right.
It's actually like changed within their bodies.
That's right.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and this whole idea of transformation is key.
Okay.
Because the verses then go on to emphasize the significance of honey as a source of healing and nourishment for humans.
So it's more than just a tasty treat.
Exactly.
It's like the Quran is saying, hey, pay attention. This is incredible. What's happening here?
Yeah.
Both in the natural world and how it benefits us.
That's a great way to put it.
Yeah.
It's like an invitation to contemplate, the wonders of creation and the blessings that come from it.
I like that.
But
Yeah.
here's where things get really interesting.
Okay. I'm all ears. Tell me more.
Did you know that it's mainly the female bees who are responsible for honey production?
Really? I had no idea.
Yeah.
So it's a total girl power operation. Like a tiny, buzzing, matriarchal society.
You could say that.
That's so cool.
In a bee colony, you've got female worker bees
Okay.
and male drones.
Uh-huh.
And it's those hardworking females that handle pretty much every aspect of honey production.
Wow, they really are the queens of the hive.
They are.
So what exactly are their roles?
Well, first they use their long straw-like tongues.
Okay.
It's called a proboscis.
For proboscis.
To collect nectar from flowers. Then they mix this nectar with special enzymes in their saliva.
Hold on, did you just say they mix it with their saliva?
Yeah.
Huh. That doesn't sound very appetizing.
I know it sounds a bit strange,
Yeah.
but trust me, it's a crucial step.
Okay.
These enzymes help break down the complex sugars in the nectar
Okay.
into simpler ones.
So it's easier to digest.
Exactly, and store.
I see. So it's like their saliva has a special ingredient that helps turn nectar into honey?
Yeah.
That's incredible.
It is.
So once they've collected this and partially processed it, where does it all go?
Well, this is where things get even more fascinating.
Oh, no.
They actually transfer this partially digested nectar from bee to bee
What?
in a process called regurgitation.
Wait, they spit it into each other's mouths.
They do.
Okay, now I'm really questioning the whole appetizing thing.
I know it sounds kind of gross.
Yeah.
But bear with me.
Okay.
This back and forth is actually really important for further breaking down the sugars
Okay.
and reducing the water content.
So it's like a team effort,
Yeah.
like a hive mind approach to honey making.
Exactly.
Each bee plays a role in kind of refining the final product.
Yeah, and finally, once the nectar has been sufficiently processed, they deposit it into those perfectly hexagonal honeycomb cells.
I know honeycombs are a marvel of engineering.
They are so efficient.
Yeah.
And to preserve their liquid gold,
Okay.
they seal each cell with a cap of beeswax.
Just like we see in honey jars today.
Exactly.
It's amazing to me how all these details,
Yeah.
from the role of the female bees
Right.
to the steps of making the honey,
Mm-hmm.
are all described in the Quran.
It is.
And what's even more remarkable is that these ancient observations actually align with what we've discovered through science.
I know, it's pretty incredible.
But here's a question that's been buzzing around in my head.
Okay.
How could people back in 7th century Arabia have known all these details about honey?
That's a great question.
They didn't have microscopes or labs back
Yeah.
then, right?
Right.
So how did they get this knowledge about these tiny creatures and their processes?
That's the million-dollar question.
Yeah.
And it's one that's sparked a lot of discussion. While people in 7th century Arabia were definitely familiar with bees and honey, the detailed biological and chemical processes
Right.
weren't scientifically understood like they are today.
So it's not like they were dissecting bees or anything
No.
to figure all this out.
Exactly.
That's what makes the Quran's emphasis on the female bees
Yeah.
and the steps of making honey so interesting.
It really does.
This goes beyond just like regular observation.
It does.
It seems to suggest a level of detail that goes beyond the scientific understanding of that time.
Right.
Okay, my mind is officially blown.
Yeah.
So how do people interpret this then?
Well, it really depends on who you ask.
Okay.
There are a variety of perspectives on these connections, influenced by, individual beliefs, scholarly interpretations,
Right.
and how people kind of integrate modern scientific knowledge with their faith.
So there's no one right answer.
No.
It's more about exploring the different viewpoints
Yeah.
and seeing what resonates with you.
Exactly. For many Muslims, these verses serve as a powerful testament to the divine origin and truth of the Quran.
So they see it as a confirmation of their beliefs.
Yes, precisely.
Okay.
The fact that these ancient descriptions align with our modern scientific findings
Right.
is seen as evidence of the Quran's miraculous nature,
It makes sense.
reinforcing their faith in its divine inspiration.
Like they're finding hidden connections
Yeah.
that strengthen what they already believe.
Right.
But what about people who come at it from more of a secular or scientific perspective? What might they take away?
Well, from a purely scientific standpoint, the focus might be on the remarkable observational skills of those who compiled the Quran.
So like how they were able to observe these things without
Exactly.
modern tools.
Without the tools we have today,
Right.
and still capture these key aspects of honey production
Okay.
that have since been confirmed by science.
So it's more about acknowledging that people back then were very good at observing the natural world,
Yeah.
even if they couldn't explain it fully.
Exactly. It speaks to a deep understanding of nature and the intricate processes,
Right.
even if they weren't fully explained scientifically.
I can see how both of those perspectives make sense.
Yeah.
But I imagine there's also a middle ground, too.
Oh, absolutely.
Right. Like people who see both the scientific and the spiritual
Right.
significance in these verses.
A lot of people find this harmonious balance between their faith
Uh-huh.
and scientific understanding.
Okay.
They might view these verses as a testament to the awe-inspiring complexity of the natural world,
I like that.
which can be appreciated through both science and faith.
So it's not necessarily either.
Right.
It's about recognizing the different meanings
Yes.
and appreciating the beauty of both scientific discovery and spiritual interpretation.
I think that's a beautiful way to put it.
Yeah.
It's about embracing the wonder of the natural world
Mm-hmm.
and acknowledging the diverse ways we can understand and
Yeah.
connect with it.
You know what strikes me is that something as simple as honey
Yeah.
can spark such profound reflections.
Absolutely. It reminds us that wonder and awe can be found in the most unexpected places
That's true.
if we're just open to seeing them.
And that, I think, is like the essence of a deep dive,
Mm-hmm.
discovering the extraordinary within the ordinary
Yeah.
and finding those connections that illuminate our understanding of ourselves and the universe.
Well said.
Thanks.
It's like we've taken a journey from this sweetness of honey to the depths of the Quran.
Yeah?
We're exploring history, science, and faith all along the way.
I love it.
And while we've covered a lot of ground, I feel like our exploration isn't over yet.
I agree.
There's still so much more to uncover.
Right. And that's the beauty of knowledge.
Yeah.
It's never ending.
It is.
It's always leading to new discoveries and deeper insights.
Exactly.
So as we enter the final part of our honey-infused deep dive,
Right.
let's explore some thought-provoking questions that might leave you buzzing with curiosity long after this episode ends.
Let's do it.
So as we wrap up our exploration of honey in the Quran, what stands out to you about these connections between faith science and the natural world?
You know, one thing that keeps coming back to me is that the Quran, revealed centuries ago, contains these observations about honey production
Right.
that align with modern scientific discoveries.
I was thinking the same thing.
It's really incredible.
It really makes you wonder what other fascinating knowledge might be hidden within its pages,
Yeah.
just waiting to be discovered or reinterpreted in light of new scientific advancements.
That's a fantastic point.
Like, how could they have known about the intricate roles of female bees
Right.
or the specific processes of honey production
It's mind-boggling.
without the tools we have today?
It really is.
It's mind-boggling.
It's a question that sparks a lot of different interpretations.
I bet.
Some people view it as clear evidence of divine revelation,
Okay.
arguing that the Quran's accuracy on matters of science
Yeah.
reinforces its status as a divinely inspired text.
So it's like a testament to the idea that the Quran contains knowledge that goes beyond what humans could have known at the time.
Exactly.
Okay.
But then there are others who approach it from a more historical and cultural perspective.
Uh-huh.
They might suggest that the Quran's observations reflect kind of like the accumulated knowledge and wisdom of the time,
Mhm.
passed down through generations of careful observation and interaction with the natural world.
So not necessarily scientific foreknowledge,
You're right.
but just that people were paying attention.
Exactly.
And they knew things.
And they knew things.
Even without fancy tools.
Precisely.
Okay.
They may argue that the Quran's descriptions shouldn't be interpreted literally as like scientific pronouncements,
Okay.
but rather as reflections of the understanding and language of the time.
So it's like acknowledging that knowledge changes
Yeah,
as we learn more,
exactly.
and that interpretations can shift as our understanding of the world expands.
Exactly. And that's what makes these discussions so fascinating.
I agree.
They challenge us to think critically about the nature of knowledge, the relationship between faith and science,
Yeah.
and the different ways we interpret ancient texts.
In light of what we know now,
Exactly.
it's a good reminder that learning is an ongoing process,
It is.
a continuous dialogue between the past, present, and future.
Absolutely. And ultimately, whether you view these connections as evidence of divine revelation,
Right.
or as a testament to human observation and wisdom,
Mm-hmm.
there's no denying the beauty and complexity of the natural world
That's true.
and the profound questions it raises about our place in it.
It's like the sweetness of the honey.
Yeah.
Lingers long after the jar is empty.
Right.
It leaves us with a sense of wonder and a thirst for more exploration.
Exactly.
To our amazing listeners out there,
Yes.
we leave you with this final thought.
Okay.
What other hidden...
Thank you for joining us for today's podcast. I hope you've gained some valuable insights. If you're a truth seeker, yearning for divine light and ready to step out of darkness, now is your moment. The truth is that Allah is the one and only creator of the universe. He has sent over 124,000 messengers and prophets to guide humanity, starting with Adam and culminating with the final messenger, Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon them all. If you resonate with this message, you might be ready to embrace Islam. Simply recite the Shahada, the Islamic declaration of faith. For further support, feel free to join our WhatsApp group. You can send us a private message there. The link is in the video description. Don't wait until it's too late. We look forward to connecting with you soon.